Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', guys? I'm in focus today. Crispy.
That's an upgrade.
I was talking about the camera, Rick. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Welcome to Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon on the other side of the screen.
What's going on?
It is week 4 of the fantasy football season. Once we get through week 4, there's only 9 weeks left, or 10 weeks left of the regular season for fantasy football. I don't want to start counting, but that hurts my soul a little bit. I feel like weeks fly by, and then I'm sitting here going, what happened to the football season? Meanwhile, basketball, hockey, and baseball feel like it's an eternity before you get to the postseason.
I know, exactly. And it's like, oh, we've already played 3 weeks?
Yeah, 4 weeks.
Football? Jeez, dude.
But anyway, today we're going to give you a Thursday night preview for fantasy football of week 4. I believe we got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bungles.
The Bungles.
Yeah, I haven't heard that in a while. But anyway, so yeah, welcome on in the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Before we get into the main event of this program, check our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just type the FF Champs in. You'll be good. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, leave a review, share this pod with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for noties, and then like and comment down below any questions you got about the Thursday night football game. Maybe some starts and sits before the game that you're like, I need to figure this out. Get those in.
Yeah, definitely let us know.
But anyway,
we've been doing pretty good with starts and sits so far this year, just saying.
We are?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, yeah, we're doing great. I did the math.
As you take a sip of the bubbly.
Yeah.
Dramatically.
All right, let's do this. As usual, we're going to talk about the home team first, then we're going to go to the road team and talk about each position, kind of break it down. Yo, if we had time, I would do this for every matchup. Because I like talking about each player.
Well, that's what gets us caught, though. It's talking about it player by player.
Gives me the ability. We haven't talked about Chase since 3 weeks ago.
That's true.
So, anyway. But yeah, let's start off with the Bengals. We have quarterback Joe Burrow, who I would say has been a royal disappointment, especially for me in many dynasty leagues.
Fantasy-wise, yeah.
Fantasy-wise, he has been okay. He's been a good quarterback for the NFL purposes, but fantasy-wise, he's not been great. He has what is that, 7 touchdowns on the year? 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Yeah. I can tell you why.
I got to go in a different league, but why?
Because in the first 2 weeks of the season, he had a total of 1 rushing attempt.
Yep.
In this past week, he had 5, but it was only for 7 yards. Mm-hmm. Last year, he was consistently getting 4 or 5 rushing attempts for 10, 15, 20 yards, and he's adding an extra 2 points a week. Yeah, and he's not doing that. So those 18-point weeks would have been 20-point weeks, which does make a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
But he's also played Chicago and Pittsburgh the last 2 weeks.
And Minnesota week 1, which, I mean,
this was not a bad matchup. And he did okay. He had 18 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is he's not racking up, much yardage.
Yeah, he hasn't had a 300-yard game yet.
And the, like you said, the rushing upside that's usually there. Now, this week he had 5 rushing attempts, so maybe that continues. Obviously, I think he'll be more efficient in the future than 7 yards.
Yeah.
But the rushing attempts need to be there for Joe Burrow in order for him to get to that next level. I think he will get to the point where, he's throwing 250 to 300 yards regularly. But I think he has been a relatively disappointing guy. Now, Jacksonville blows.
Jacksonville does blow.
They just traded, according to Rick, for Dan Arnold, their top 10 cornerback from the year prior.
CJ Henderson, they traded him.
I would say Joe Burrow.
Start?
Yeah, I would start him.
I would too. Should talked about him in our streaming show. But yeah,
I feel like he's owned.
What is it?
I feel like he's owned in most leagues.
He is actually, but he's
99% roster percentage.
99?
Yes, sir. That's what Sleeper
on
says.
Sleeper. He's listed at 73.
Oh, we're in different leagues then. I must be in a dynasty league.
Yeah, it's probably a super flex league.
Hold on.
Go to a non-super flex league.
Oh,
but
right. Let me go to a non-super flex league.
Yeah, Burrow should. I think it's a good start.
Mine's still at 99% roster.
Okay, that's weird. I think he's getting probably 18 to 20 plus points this week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him getting under like 15 against.
What are the chances he has a really good week and gets like 25?
I think it's relatively it's the highest it's been for those first few weeks because this is the easiest matchup. I've been bouncing 25. He would have to throw like 4 touchdowns. So I don't know if he does that.
Yeah, or 300 plus yards. I was gonna say I have Joe Burrow in many a super flex league, and I'm trying to figure out kind of at this point what to do with my man's on a week to week basis because he keeps going in and out of my lineup. I think I have him in 2 leagues. So this week, if you have Joe Burrow in a standard format and you don't have a quarterback, or you are in a super flex league and need that second quarterback slot filled, Joe Burrow's a definite start this week against Jacksonville. If he doesn't do good this week, I don't know. We got to start questioning whether he's going to have. I mean, I guess 2 18-point games isn't bad. It's just not. It's Baker Mayfield, and we're expecting a higher ceiling for that. So we'll see if it continues to have success. I almost am scared that he turns into he's not going to be a player like Jared Goff, but he's going to turn into Jared Goff fantasy-wise because of when Jared Goff was with Sean McVay and really good. He'll turn into Jared Goff fantasy-wise because the system is very similar to what Sean McVay had there, where it was very like boomer busts, running back, or 5 touchdowns.
He was Jared Goff was QB6 in 2018.
Yeah, no, so, I mean that could happen. I don't think it happens this year.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
This year, I don't know. But the thing with Burrow and why you wanted his dynasty appeal was because of like drafting Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins is super young. Like it's a young team. Burrow's only 24. Like he still has upside to grow and have like really great statistical years. This year, I think he was listed as like QB 12, QB 13 redraft. I still think it's possible for him to get there. He's QB 17 right now, so it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. And he's got good matchups coming up. He's got Jacksonville, Green Bay, Detroit, Baltimore, the Jets. So 3 of his next 5 games should be easy matchups. We'll see how it goes. I think how it goes going forward. But they are a team that I feel like if they have a big lead, they're gonna want to run the ball, kind of like the Rams did, like you said, with Joe Mixon. So it will be interesting to see. But I think this week against Jacksonville, though, he has a good game.
Let's move on to the wide receivers. We have Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. Jamar Chase is we'll get to T. Higgins and the news I know at this point about Higgins in a second, but Jamar Chase has been fantastic. Like really, really good. 20, 13, 22. Rick texted me on Sunday in the midst of the games and said, bruh, Jamar Chase is Justin Jefferson this year. This year's Justin Jefferson. Now, the only thing that concerns me about Jamar Chase is the straight target share, because it's been 7, 4, and 5. It's clear he's a red zone target, similar to what AJ Green was when he was with this team last year, and that they like to throw it to him in the red zone. He's not getting a heavy target share at this point, and that might bite him in the butt against teams like, Green Bay, Baltimore, Cleveland with their defense, San Francisco. So it's like there might be some weeks where he doesn't perform really well, but when you get 20, 13, and 22 fantasy points in consecutive weeks, like how many, like if he does this on Thursday Night Football in front of everyone, how do we not like stay excited about this kid? Because I mean the target share is concerning, but he's been ridiculously good.
The target share is concerning, but what I did notice was He had 5 targets this past week, which isn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
But Burrow only had 18 pass attempts. So it's not like right. I think he had the most targets on the team. Or Tyler Boyd had 6. So Tyler Boyd had 6, Chase had 5, and that's 11 of the 18 pass attempts were to those two guys. So
yeah, it's a good percentage of the opportunities. It's over like 25%, which is good.
Yeah. If Burrow has a game where Burrow's only thrown the ball over 30 times once this season.
Yeah.
He had 30 pass attempts in week 2 against Chicago. So, and Chase only had 4 targets, and that was a concerning one. So we'll see. And he's going to have bad weeks. Like even if you look at Jefferson last year, Jefferson had like 3 weeks under 10 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Past week 8, like past his breakout. He had a week 5 game where he had 3 points, a week 8 game where he had 4 points. Week 14 against Tampa and week 9 against Detroit, he had 7. So like Chase will have like 3 or 4 games where he's going to get, like 5 fantasy points and he just gets shut down. And I could see that against Green Bay. I could see that against San Francisco, but overall, like this is what he's going to be. He's going to get weeks where he gets 20 fantasy points with a touchdown or 2 and performs really well. And he's startable every week.
Dynasty wide receiver 1 yet?
I saw that debate on Twitter. I wouldn't put him there yet.
If he keeps dropping 20-point games and half PPR,
well, then yeah.
Yeah, and this is his rookie season. Like that top 5 tag, is totally worth the value. And he, honestly, if he continues this pace, he could be similar to what Julio did.
Yeah, that's possible. And he was, considered one of the best prospects since Julio at receiver. So
but that could continue. It just, for me, I like looking at snap percentages and the snap percentages are really good for Jamar Chase right now. But I also like to look at target shares and where the targets are going in the offense. And, he is getting a high percentage, so that's good. But 7, 4, and 5 targets, it's fine if you look at the percentages and go, well, this is a really good percentage for him. But then you look at the actual numbers and they only threw it 18 times. That's a whole other area of concern. That won't happen, especially against Jacksonville. But yeah, so Chase is a start.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's definitely a start.
Now, I'm going to talk about T. Higgins next because we need to get to him, and that will lead into Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
So according to practice reports, T. Higgins, now he's had 2 15-point games this year, didn't play this past week with some kind of injury. So he's been really good, T. Higgins. Like he's been what we wanted him to be.
Yeah,
and Tyler
he had
Boyd's
13 in both first 2 weeks and half PPR.
I might be looking in a PPR league. But anyway, he's had some good weeks to start the season. Definitely taking some target share away from Tyler Boyd, at least in the first week of the season,
especially week 2. He had 10 targets in that game.
Yeah, and Tyler Boyd had 9. Chase had 4. So I mean, if you're looking for a wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 on the Bengals, and a end zone, a red zone target, that would be Jamar Chase. But anyway, so Higgins is out this past week, and going into Thursday night, they sat him on Sunday. I don't know if it was we need to rest him up for Thursday night football, so we're just going to sit him and we'll play him on Thursday night, or he needs extra time because he's not going to be prepared for Thursday. Now, this is a short week. I believe they only practice on Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday is travel day, and Thursday they play.
By the time this show is out, you'll probably have a very good idea.
You'll probably have a very good idea, but Higgins missed the Monday practice. That's as far as what I know at this point.
Yeah.
So, assuming he's out, if he's a go, he might be limited, but against Jacksonville, it's too juicy, so I'd start him.
Yep.
If he doesn't play, Tyler Boyd's a really good option in this game. If he does play, I don't know if I want to play Tyler Boyd for Thursday night.
Yeah, if Higgins is in there, I'm definitely much iffier about Tyler Boyd. Mm-hmm. I'd probably even lean no to starting him. But if Higgins is out, then Boyd is for sure a good start, and Chase becomes like a borderline wide receiver 1 this week. With that secondary he's facing and no T. Higgins. So, yeah, I think think Higgins, though, if he plays the way he's played this year, you kind of have to start him, right? He's been good enough.
Yep.
To the point where it's like you don't want to just bench him, because he's gonna be a big part of that offense. So yeah, if Higgins plays, you start him, and you probably sit Boyd. If Higgins doesn't play, you start Boyd.
Agreed. We're not going to talk about a second running back for the Bengals because it's unnecessary. But the main running back, obviously, Joe Mixon. He had a 25-point game in week 1. He's actually been kind of efficient on the ground and looked really good. 127 yards, 69 yards, 90 yards in the last 3 games. Averaging about 4.5 yards per carry, which has been pretty good. He's had 25, 8, and 10 on the season. And hovered right around 74-75% snap percentage, which is a workhorse. That's pretty good. The concern for him, for me in particular, is that since week 1, he's only had a total of 3 targets. He does have, 6 catches on the year, so he is pacing pretty good for around 35 to 40 catches in a 16-game schedule. But for me, you have to start Joe Mixon. There's no, you drafted him in the 2nd round. There's no choice for you. But as far as the breakout of Joe Mixon, I mean, are we doing this or are we not doing this? I don't know yet.
I think we're kind of doing this.
At least he's efficient this time.
He's got to stay healthy. And
yeah,
that's the biggest thing, really, actually, to be honest with you. He just has to stay healthy because the way he's played this year, against some tough teams, Chicago was his worst game, but it was probably, it's a good run defense. Yeah. He was still used decent amount, had 21 touches. This past week had 19 touches. In week 1, he had 33 touches, which is insane. But yeah, no, I think this could be. He's been efficient, like you said.
Right.
If these are his bad weeks without touchdowns, 7 and 9, you can deal with that. He's currently RB 13 in PPR. If he has a big week this week, he feels like a low end RB1. Which is good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it'll do. It'll get the job done as a 2nd round running back.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Coming off last year, really quickly. So this year he's had 4.38 yards per carry in a game, 3.45 yards against Chicago, and then 5 against Pittsburgh. Last year in the games that he played before he got hurt, 3.6 yards a carry, 2.9, 2.96, 2.5, and 3. So improvement in the efficiency metrics.
Yeah,
I like it. CJ Usama, yes or no?
No.
Let's move to the Jaguars on the road, and we'll get Dan Arnold out of the way right now. Dan Arnold, yes or no?
No.
All right,
no.
See you later, Dan. Yikes, he'll get 10 catches because that's us.
He probably won't even be playing like you said because of.
There's no real tight end on Jacksonville that I want.
They traded CJ Henderson for him, so he better be.
I think they were trying to get the 3rd round pick.
Yeah, that's what they wanted. But why would you trade a 10th?
I think maybe they didn't like him.
They must have not liked him.
Yikes.
And he hasn't been great. I mean, he hasn't been that good, but he hasn't been the worst defensive player in the league either. He just hasn't lived up to his hype.
Right. So let's talk about the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness. I'm going to say no on starting him at all against anybody at this point. He had a good week against Houston, and he has. It's going to be a little while before he gets an easier matchup. But I will say, what are your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence in the first 3 games? I'll ask you that. I won't say it, but I'll ask you.
Fantasy wise, or just in general?
Both.
Okay. When it comes to his on the field, he looks like a rookie. He makes obviously Trevor Lawrence type throws, and it kind of makes you appreciate some of the great rookie seasons that we've seen from some players. But it has only been 3 weeks. When Baker came in his rookie year, I think he came in week 3 or 4. Herbert last year came in week 2. Tua came in last year at week 10. So let's give it some time. Mm-hmm. But he definitely looks like a rookie. He makes some horrible decisions, but he makes some plays where you're that's Peyton Manning, that's Andrew Luck, that's Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
So yeah, he ups and downs obviously, and then fantasy wise, he's definitely been disappointing. But against Houston, he had 22 points in a good matchup, not bad. Denver, tough matchup, obviously played horrible. Arizona felt like an easier matchup, and he didn't play well still. Yeah. So he's definitely matchup dependent, and even then, you don't really want to start him. Since he's not a bad matchup, but in Cincinnati on a Thursday night, I wouldn't start Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I like Trevor Lawrence a lot. I think he's definitely going to figure it out. He has too much talent to not.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of bad things about Jacksonville. They don't really have a lot of talent on that offensive line. They have some
coaching. I think is a big problem.
Coaching is a massive problem for them.
They finally did run the ball more this week, and it worked.
Yeah.
James Robinson had 20 carries and played well.
But it's going to be a little bit before Lawrence becomes this ridiculously good, quarterback in fantasy football. Mm-hmm. I think he'll get there.
Yeah.
If he didn't throw a pick against Houston, he would have scored like 32 fantasy points in his first game.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely going to be okay. Like he's out of all the rookie quarterbacks so far that have played, I would put my 5-alarm panic button in the closet for him. I would be very not afraid of him. But anyway, yeah, don't start him. DJ Chark, really good, but hasn't really been producing fantasy-wise this year at a great or a high percentage. He has 13 points in PPR, I believe, and 22 targets in the first couple games of the season, 17, 2, and 13. He does have Cincinnati, obviously, for Thursday night, which I think is a good matchup. So I think he definitely could be started this week, but he does look to be a more touchdown-dependent wide receiver at this point.
Yeah, one of the reasons I loved DJ Chark this year, what I liked him a lot going into the year, was because of that Trevor Lawrence upside and the big play potential, which Trevor Lawrence loves the big play. Mm-hmm. It felt like a good combination between those guys, and it has a little bit. But for fantasy purposes, it's pretty much the exact same DJ Chark has always been. Like, he's going to get good weeks, and then he's going to get like 4 fantasy points. Mm-hmm. Then he's going to get 16, and then he'll get 3. And it's because of the inconsistency of the offense and Trevor Lawrence, to be honest. Trevor Lawrence has missed him on a lot of plays. Yeah. I think Chark dropped 1, but from what I've seen, Trevor Lawrence has had him and other receivers too, like open and missed them. Or just like the defensive player made a play or whatever. But he is looking for Chark, which is good. Chark feels like his guy down the field. Marvin Jones is definitely his, I think, top security blanket, and then Laviska is like the check down kind of player. But yeah, Chark, I would start him against Cincinnati. It's a good matchup.
Yeah.
We saw what he did against Houston this past week against Arizona. He wouldn't have been good without the touchdown, but the touchdown was a nice play, and there were plays to be had in that game. The week against Denver was bad. He got shut out in that one. So, but again, against Cincinnati, and it feels like throughout the season, hopefully, Trevor Lawrence gets better. If Lawrence can get better, just like the other rookie quarterbacks can get better throughout the season, and Trevor Lawrence starts throwing like 2 touchdowns a game with 250 plus yards, like something in that range, Chark's going to be good. He's going to be pretty good.
It's going to take a little time with the rookie.
Yeah, it will. But maybe this week against Cincinnati, they just have to play decent. I think they can. It'll be not necessarily I don't know if it's going to be a shootout, but it's not going to be a low-scoring game either. There'll be plays to be made there. So
yeah,
I think you start him this week against Cincinnati.
The other guy that I would probably start, you referenced him a second ago, is Marvin Jones. He had 18, 17, 12 so far this year. He has a total of, I think, 27, 28 targets on the season.
Right.
Like Rick said, he's basically averaging about 10 targets a game. And he has been getting, I don't know what role he's playing in the offense because I haven't fully watched a game for them.
He's their really main receiver, to be honest.
Yeah. So, but I mean, coming into the season, I remember talking about Marvin Jones a little bit in the offseason, being like, we like Chark, we like Laviska, but Marvin Jones is still in that offense.
Yeah.
And there's going to be, I think there's going to be situations where they use him, and he was listed as the number 2 wide receiver on the depth chart when the season started, and that's kind of where they've gone. So I think he's startable. Shenault is a whole other conversation. The role that Marvin Jones was going to get, I thought Shenault was going to get. and he's slowly been moved out of that role. Snap percentage kind of decreased a little bit. He's had 9, 7, and 4 targets, and he's the wide receiver 3 on the team. I don't want to start him in a game until I know that his target share is going to be consistently holding at probably 7 or 8 targets a game. Against Cincinnati is a game where you're like, okay, I really want to start him. If you're in a 3 flex format or a 4 flex format or 4 flex, I'm sorry, 2 or 3 flex format, bless you, Laviska Shenault might be a start against Cincinnati because it is a good matchup, but I'm not excited about Shenault really anymore for the rest of this season until I'm gonna say I'm not excited about him until 2022.
I won't go that far, but I'm not excited about him until either Lawrence figures it out or
I think he's the wide receiver 3 at this point.
Yeah, he is, as of right now, he at 100% is. But by week 12, is he still the wide receiver 3?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I'm willing to wait and see. If you have him rostered,
definitely not starting him.
Yeah. But this week, not starting him. Quickly, I would say Carlos Hyde is a joke of a running back at this point. He's an old man, so.
But they still, Urban Meyer
still wants to get him involved. He did have 5.5 yards to carry this week, so that's good.
Yeah.
But anyway, Carlos Hyde, if you have him on fantasy teams for whatever reason, that's a waiver wire.
The better running back, though, is very clearly James Robinson.
James Robinson finally gets involved in this offense. It only took them 3 weeks to figure it out. Urban Meyer's a brick.
He really is.
But he had 15 rushes, 88 yards, 5.87 yards per carry against Arizona with a touchdown. He also had 6 catches for 46 yards.
That's what I like the most.
And this is what James Robinson did last year. He has a great receiving floor, and he's also a really efficient rusher against good matchups. And so against Cincinnati, it's kind of a mediocre middle of the pack matchup for running backs, but I think he could have a really good week. Issue is the snap percentage has still kind of been low. I would like to see it right around 70 to 75% and not 60%.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see the snap percentage that he had against Denver with the stat line that he had against Arizona. But either way, I think it was a really good game for James Robinson. I think you're okay starting him against Cincinnati this week. I would do that and feel okay about it. I think it could be a game script game, going the opposite direction for a guy like Hyde. But with James Robinson working in the passing game, I think it'll be a good situation for them.
Yeah, he's definitely a startable RB2, I think, this week against the Bengals. I'm not expecting another 22-point game because I just don't know what to expect from Urban Meyer and the Jaguars, to be honest. But I could see him getting a solid 14-point week where he's just, a solid RB2.
Okay. That has your Thursday night preview. Quickly, who wins the game?
Bengals. 100% Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals. I mean, Jacksonville might sneak one out. Who knows?
If there's a week they sneak one out, this could be
this one. But anyway, a lot of really good fantasy matchups. Going to be a fun night to watch. Be sure to check it out. We'll talk to you tomorrow for starts and sits. See you later, everyone.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.